Start with the disclaimer. The information provided in this discussion is strictly for educational purposes only, and strongly encourage you to consult with licensed financial advisors, attorneys, or tax professionals before making any significant financial decision or investments. And though I do have decades of business experience, I am not licensed or registered with any regulatory authority. And the next thing that we will do is we will go through a 2-minute video that talks about the
Welcome to This Explainer. Let's transform AI from a simple tool into your very own autonomous digital workforce.
Be honest, are you still manually typing prompts and just waiting around? Time to upgrade that old system.
That constant prompting, that's the old era of tools. The real shift happening right now is the workforce era. Early adopters are deploying autonomous operators instead. It's a massive, permanent advantage for execution speed and slashing costs.
So what exactly is an AI agent? It understands your instructions, makes decisions, and then takes action autonomously.
Here's the deal. Chatbots just generate text. True AI agents actually operate across all your different business systems. If you only remember one thing today, make it this. A chatbot responds, but an AI agent executes.
Think of models from OpenAI or Anthropic as the brilliant brains, and the AI agent as your tireless worker.
Together, they create a powerful execution engine. These agents crush complex, multi-step tasks without needing your constant supervision.
The engine runs in 4 steps: getting input, reasoning a plan, using external tools, and delivering the action.
So how does this look in reality? Let's check out some real-world, beginner-level deployments you can use now. You can deploy agents right now to automate emails, qualify sales leads, run market research, and track finances.
To get there, stop looking at manual, chaotic tasks. You need to shift your mindset to building automated systems.
Just identify the repetitive grind, define your clear outcomes, set firm boundaries, connect your tools, and monitor it.
Because agents access your actual data, having ironclad security and strict human oversight isn't just optional, it's absolutely crucial.
Always prevent data leaks by strictly limiting permissions, using secure platforms, and acting as the final human overseer. Economically, this is a total game changer. One AI agent hands you the exponential output of an entire team. You'll analyze deals at lightning speed and scale operations massively, without the usual skyrocketing costs of human labor.
This is exactly why the CPIN platform gives members exclusive access to purpose-built, secure AI agents for wealth building.
So, will you stay trapped in the manual era or finally claim your autonomous digital empire today?
All right. And I'm going to go over a brief presentation, then we'll jump into the discussions. So the topic for this evening is AI agents for beginners, turning AI into your digital workforce. Presented to you by CPIN, the Closed Private Investment Network. So we have a major shift that's been happening right now. When AI rolled out about 3 years ago, we all got enthralled with the use of ChatGPT and the ability to type in something and for it to give a response. Well, we are moving into the second era of AI, which is moving away from chatbots to AI agents. So chatbots was where you would manually type in prompts and wait for answers, whereas agents are autonomous operators actually doing work. So this slide really talks about the difference between chatbots and agents. So chatbots, they respond to manual prompts, whereas an AI agent, you give it a goal to complete a task, and then it goes and figures it out. The chatbot, the reasoning capacity is a single turn. It's question, answer, back and forth. Whereas The AI agent uses multi-step thinking. Once you give it the goal, it figures out a plan, then it executes, and then it verifies the results. The chatbot, it generates text, it might generate an image, it might even generate a video. Whereas the AI agent, when you connect it to tools, it actually performs work. So remember, a chatbot responds whereby an agent actually executes. So what is the parts of the engine of this autonomous execution? So the first step is the input, where you're giving it the instructions or the trigger. The second part is where the agent goes, processes the goal, and then it formulates a multi-step plan in order to execute it. Step three is it connecting to the tools, and the tools may be your email, it may be your Slack, it may be um, a certain website, but it's got to connect to a tool in order to do work. And then step four is the output, the actual actions, results, or decisions. An important step here, though, is the self-correction and verification. That's very important. So how does this work? It all starts with the frontier models. So these are the LLMs, the large language models, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, Google's Gemini, and even Amazon. And then the agent is the worker. Again, multi-step reasoning, task planning and execution, and it works across different data sets. So let's give some examples of real world agents. So in communications, you can automate it. You're responding to email. You can set up an agent to where it can check your email. It can automatically respond to certain types of email. It can notify you and highlight important emails. And so it really becomes an assistant with emails. And so, but it needs access to your email in order to do that. Sales operations. So you can set it up to when a lead comes in, it can qualify the lead, it can put the lead into different tiers, it can automatically update your CRM, it can send out notifications to salespeople, it can send out an email or a text to the sales lead. So it can really automate a large part of that sales operation. Market research. It is great at doing market research. You can tell it on a weekly basis to research to identify my top 10 competitors, research what activity that they've done for the last week, and then provide a summary of threats and recommend actions that I should take. And you can have it do that every week automatically. Finance. This is where you can have it do your finance tracking. It can extract data out of financial records, and it can also do automated reporting. But again, it's only as good as the tools that it's connected to. And then an example is marketing. It can handle end-to-end content generation. So you can tell it, on a daily basis, generate, multiple posts for Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and if you connect it to the right tools, it can actually do the post for you. It can create images that go along with those posts, and then the whole thing is automated. So the real thing, though, is in setting up the agent, and that takes a little planning um, and some work. So the very first step is to identify what work you want it to do, right? You should start off with targeting repetitive work, stuff that's, real easy to do, but it takes up a lot of your time. Then you want to define the task that it should do, and you want to establish measurable outcomes. You don't necessarily need to tell it how to go about doing the work, but you want to tell it what results should it produce. The next step is actually building it. And there are a lot of platforms that will assist you with building agents. So you don't have to know how to code or anything like that. And then you produce an automated system. Security, security, security. So when Claudebot first came out, it became all of the rage, and everybody was creating Claudebots. Um, but the thing about Claudebots is they were self-hosted, and there wasn't a lot of assistance on setting them up, and definitely no assistance on setting up the security around them. And so hackers exploited that because when you're self-hosting an agent on your own computer or on a spare laptop that you have, um, there's security networking protocols that you need to set up. And if you don't have experience doing that, then I don't recommend that you do it. But since Clydebot came out, there are a lot of services that host the agent for you and take care of security. So I would recommend, if you're going to spin up an agent, that you use one of the hosting services. And all of the frontier models now are coming out with their agent tools. So OpenAI, I believe, has an agent. Claude has an agent. Even Amazon has an agent, and Gemini has an agent. Um, so unless you're a security expert, I would not recommend self-hosting. If you're just a beginner, I would recommend using one of these hosted services to host your agent. And then you want to be very careful about the tools that you give it access to. So if you give it access to your email, um, you need to be careful the instructions that you give it. There have been nightmare stories of people giving agents access to their email, and then the agent deleting all of their emails. Um, and evidently, those agents um, weren't built properly. So you just want to be very careful and and provide a lot of oversight. Start small. don't give your agent the ability to delete things in the beginning. Um, it can execute on your behalf, but I would not give it the ability to delete. So the economics of AI agent leverage. What it does is it allows a small team to act like a big team. Um, and so the ability to scale is extraordinary. Um, you can scale at a much quicker rate. You can create multiple agents. So just think of agents. If you run a business, think of agents as employees. So you can create an HR agent that handles your onboarding of employees. You can create a sales agent. You can create a customer service agent. You can create an accounting agent. Um, and then you spend your time managing the agents until you get to the point where you create a super agent that manages all of the other agents. And that's where we're ultimately getting to. There was a story of a person who created an agent, and I think it just told the agent to find a way to make money for itself. And the agent um, and it gave it access to some funds, I think through a crypto wallet. And the agent created an LLC, and then the agent hired an employee. It interviewed the employee online. It um, leased office space in San Francisco, did this all autonomously. It ordered physical products, and then it has the employee working at the business selling the physical products. And it did this all autonomously, all on its own. And so that's where we're at now with these agents. Um, you can have one person with multiple agents run a business, and it can look like the person has hundreds of employees. So that's the presentation. This is what CPN brings to you as education about how to, the things that affect Black people economically. And so, though AI may displace people, it is no better time than to learn how to use AI beyond just chatbots, beyond an advanced Google search, but learning how to create agents, how to manage agents in order to increase your productivity. And if nothing else, to give you more time to do the things that you want to do. And with that, um, I will jump directly into the discussion. And the first thing I want to ask is, does anybody have any experience creating agents or working with agents? Leroy, Lorraine,
I
Saunders?
I have not had any experience. I don't think directly working with agents. My experience has been with Chat GPT, which has revolutionized my life. But the only thing is that the independence that you just talked about, it's giving over. So I'm looking for the autonomous part. And I'm thinking about all of what you just said, in the sense that I just got off the phone call with one of my high school classmates that finished high school 56 years ago. And her complaint was I don't know what's going on in the world. They got all these different things that are going on. We're not going to be able to get a job and all of this. Of course, she shouldn't be worried about job anyway, but her grandchildren and all. And what you have just shared, Brother Mike, is with my age at 74, I would love to have another 50 or more years to just live and experience all of these things with all of these AI agents that you just talked about and revolutionizing life is just an awesome, awesome, awesome experience. So thank you for sharing the information.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you a little tidbit, Leroy.
Okay.
Um, and this is just my belief, but at the rate that technology is advancing, if you can hang on for just another 5 years, I think the average human life expectancy will increase to 125 years.
I received that.
Yes, yes. So, and this is the we're going to see some tremendous breakthroughs in science over the next 2 years from AI research. So I talked about, the first phase of AI being chatbots and the second phase being agents, agentic AI. Um, Probably by the end of the year, beginning of next year, if we're not already entering it, we'll enter the third phase, which is recursive AI. And this is where AI has the ability to improve itself. And it has that ability to do it autonomously without anybody instructing it to. And if we think that the explosion of technological advance over the last 5 years has been something, we haven't seen anything yet. Because once AI has the ability to autonomously improve itself, it will do so at a rate that we can't comprehend. And that's when the scientific breakthroughs will come almost daily, right? We're having scientific breakthroughs now come, probably monthly. Um, but and um and I personally think that the frontier models, the those companies already have recursive learning AI. It's just not available to the public. Mythos, which is the model that was created by Anthropic, that they said was um, too good at finding um, errors in code, and every system that it looked at, it was able to find errors in code. We're talking about systems that have been around for decades that have been looked at millions of times from a security perspective. It was able to find errors. Um, and so they was like, oh, this is too dangerous because if we let it out, hackers can use it and will be able to break into any system. And but that latest model was probably a recursive model that built itself and improved itself in order to develop the skills and the logic to find those type of errors. And so we're right on the cusp of these recursive models. And the thing is this, Anthropic didn't release its model. OpenAI now states it has a model that rivals Mythos. and the um, the open source models, where they used to say, oh, they're 6 to 12 months behind. Well, now they're like a month behind. And so, probably by the 4th of July, there will be an open source model that is recursive that anybody will be able to download and play with. So um, we are truly just at the very beginning. They talk about in sports, the nine innings. Um, we are, we're in the first inning and it's only been a couple of pitches. So um, as they say, you ain't seen nothing yet. Um, Lorraine, what's been your experience, if any, with AI agents? Good to see you. Lorraine, are you able to speak? Nope. All right. I'll move on to Mora. Mora, how are you doing? Are you able to speak? Okay. Sandra, are you able to speak? I know that you put an answer in the chat, but are you able to speak?
Yeah, yeah. I just have my experience has been just working with Claude and um Chat GPT. And I'm just kind of really late to the party, sort of just using it in things to kind of make, things that I'm doing quicker, make a presentation, put my spin on whatever it is. Uh, so this agent stuff, it's like new to me, and I kind of came in on the back end of the presentation, so I might have missed what was on the front end, but that stuff sounds like something that I'm not even familiar with, kind of like I don't know, like hosting an agent and like that stuff is I don't even know what that is. Like that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So here's the beautiful thing, because the frontier models, and the frontier models are Chat GPT, Claude, um, Grok, Gemini, Perplexity, because because of their popularities, they are constantly adding new tools like on a weekly basis. And so all of them now offer some sort of agent tool. So I'll give you an example. I use ChatGPT a lot, and I run a real estate investment management business, managing real estate deals on behalf of investors. And it requires me to do market research, trying to find properties in Detroit. And so traditionally, that has meant spending a lot of time online, going through the MLS and doing searches. Well, I don't do that anymore. I told ChatGPT to set up a recurring task where you go into the MLS, you look for properties in Detroit that have this criteria, and I give it very strict criteria. Do this analysis, right? So it does the underwriting analysis, calculates the net operating income, calculates the cap rate based on the assumptions that I give it. I said, and then report back to me the top 10. And if you don't find any properties that day that match the criteria, then just put no properties today. And and so now on a daily basis, I think it's at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, it automatically does that analysis. It sends me an email notification saying either the task is done and there's properties to look at, or there's no properties for that day. Um, and so when you talk about a time saver, and that's just one example, and that is available right now through Chat GPT. And so this is where I didn't have to host an agent. I didn't have to worry about security. The only things that I had to do is I had to connect it um, to my email so it could send me emails. Um, Other than that, I didn't even have to connect it to the MLS. It went out and found the right tool itself to be able to look up properties. Um, so, and this is where the frontier models are going to make it to where the average everyday person, you don't need to know how to create an agent. All you need to do is to ask the chatbot that you're used to interacting with to create a recurring task to set up the agent for you. Um, and and when you're going through and you're giving it explicit instructions um, as part of the prompt, always end the prompt with ask me any clarifying questions. Whenever you give AI um, a a relatively involved multi-step task, always end the prompt with ask me any clarifying questions.
Yeah, I definitely learned that along the way. So I do that. Yeah.
Good. So I would say, between Claude and ChatGPT, the first piece is connecting it to the right tools. And so I would, start by using it to set up or manage your email, and for it to be able to, every morning highlight, the most important emails that um, that you've received, or to remind you of tasks or deadlines or people that you need to respond to. Uh, so Google has Google Assistant, which is currently in its beta phase. But what you do is you give it permission to get access to Gmail, to your calendar, to your Google Drive, and it's what it then does is every morning at 7 o'clock, it sends me an email, and it will highlight the things I need to be focused on for that day. It will estimate how much time I need to dedicate, whether it's a high priority, medium priority, low priority, um, and it's an assistant, and um, it relieves time from me to have to go back, look through all my emails, make sure I haven't missed anything. Um, and it's something that I look forward to each morning, that email being there to help get me focused on that, on my day. And that's a free tool that's offered by Google. Amazon also came out with a similar tool. Um, you give it access to, again, different tools, um, and it will, and as you interact with the Amazon um, tool, it learns your behavior, um, and it then is able to become a better uh, assistant. So even if you're not running a business and you're not setting up agents to do business tasks, I still recommend setting up agents to help you with the tedious things that you currently do and just in your personal life in order to free up time um, and give you time to focus on the things that you want to do.
So question, I heard you say it will prioritize what is urgent, what is whatnot. How does it learn that? What is important, what is not, like what is involved in that process? And what about the sort of safety concerns where if that email is all you're using for, say, your banking, your investing, your whatnot, and the world we live in these days where, it's kind of scary what can get out, and like, what about that? How do you, because it now has the ability to read everything you're getting, correct? And make changes or whatever the case may be. How about that?
Right. And so this is where trust comes into play. And this is where most people feel more comfortable trusting one of the frontier models, right? They feel more comfortable trusting Google, trusting OpenAI, trusting Anthropic, um, versus an open source model that's made by the Chinese. Just to give you an example, um, and so, um, but yes, you have identified a risk, and it's a true risk. Is that when you give it access to these tools, you are giving it access to certain elements in your life um, that if you get information um, from your bank, hopefully your bank is not sending your full account number when it's emailing you. But now the AI knows that you've got a bank account with a certain bank. Um, so that is a security issue. My recommendation is to stick with the big companies that you trust. Now, if you don't trust the big companies, um, then one of the benefits of self-hosting an agent is that the agent just lives on your computer and um, it doesn't, nobody else has access to it as long as you set up the security correct. And this is where, I talked about the importance of security when you're self-hosting. If you don't know how to set up the security for a network on a computer, don't self-host. Instead, use one of the large frontier models, and then um, just be careful. Um, Again, when you give access to your email, it's according to the type of emails that you're getting, but it will, once you give access for it to read your email, it's going to read all your email. Um, don't give it access to delete your email. Um, I would be careful about giving it the ability to respond on your behalf. Um, you want to make sure that it's not responding to any urgent or sensitive emails. I would start with the just notifying you, reminding you. Um, but the way that it determines of what's urgent, what's important, um, that's built into the large language model, and so a lot of it has to do with, is there a deadline date that's involved in the email? Is there a sense of urgency from the writer of the email, right? So it uses its training to help it determine what's important and what's not important. And by the same token, it relies upon your feedback. So it's not like you just set up the agent once and then you don't interact with it and it just does its thing. You've got to, constantly interact with it, um, tell it when it's doing something, when it's doing a good job, correct it when it makes mistakes. And so that's how it learns of what's important to you specifically. Um, but yeah, the financial information that you receive via email, yeah, you do open that up to an AI agent when you give it access to your email. Um,
Got it. Thanks.
sure. Lorraine, Mora, you guys still with us? You guys want to say anything? Okay, I guess not. Um, go ahead, Leroy.
Okay, I was waiting for them. Well, that give me a moment to ask a question then. Okay. So right now I'm with ChatGPT, and it has actually revolutionized my daily works and saved a lot of time for doing things. And in my organizations and group, they think I'm the smartest person in the world. And that I'm so I get things done, and I'm smiling when I get to meetings because but I have given it instructions as to what I want, and if it's something that is not quite right, I will give an instruction that, well, not this, but give more emphasis on this or whatever. And so let me just make sure that I clearly understand the evolution of things. So right now, well, the first thing is that there was me. I'm gonna use that as one. That was me
Mhm.
before I knew about GPT, a chat GPT. Okay, and then so here is chat GPT where I can give input and it would sort of respond to some of my questions and things of that sort and sort of format it in a way that I want it. And so when you mention frontier models, you mentioned inside that would be ChatGPT, Claude, and some other things. So could you once again go back through those stages, starting with possibly ChatGPT and going upward? I just want to make sure I had it clear in my mind.
Sure. So the first is the major frontier models are ChatGPT, Claude, um, Gemini, Grok, and Perplexity. Those
What was
are
it
the
last next to the last one? Proc after
Grok, Grok, Grok. That's
okay.
Elon Musk's um, AI tool.
Okay, and the last one was
Perplexity.
complexity.
Yeah, Perplexity.
Perplexity. Okay.
Yeah. So those are the major frontier models. And then when I talk about the stages of AI, there are generally three stages expected of AI. So the first stage was the chatbot stage. You give it a prompt and it gives an answer. Okay, you go back and forth, and that's where we're at until really the beginning of this year. And beginning of this year is when they really started perfecting the second phase, which is the agentic phase. This is where AI works as an agent on your behalf, where you give it a goal and then it figures out how to accomplish that goal. So instead of giving it explicit instructions to follow, you give it a goal, you give it parameters, you tell the outcome that you want achieved, and then it goes out and does it. Okay. It could be a one-time thing, or it could be a recurring thing. Um, but agents are basically assistants performing work. And that's the important thing to remember. Agents perform work. The third phase, which I believe that we'll enter into um, publicly the second half of the year, beginning of next year, is recursive learning. This is where AI learns how to improve itself without anybody giving it explicit directions to do so.
This is RECURSIVE, recursive.
Yes, yes. Um, because recursive learning leads to what they call AGI, um, artificial general intelligence. Yeah, that's right. Artificial general intelligence. Sandra said um, that's that's the phase when AI takes over because they become smarter than us. Um, and you are probably right. This is the phase where um, they they know all human information. They have intelligence that's higher than humans. They can process information quicker. And, and here's the thing about agents, and we've already started seeing them do this, is they can coordinate. So you can have an agent working on one thing, another agent working on another thing. And so they'll specialize on doing a task in order to accomplish a much bigger goal, right? Um, and and so the only thing that limits their ability is the amount of compute they have available. And you may have heard of that phrase, compute. It's their access to computing power. And this is why the major companies are out spending hundreds of billions of dollars in order to build these data centers in order to house NVIDIA chips, which is the best performing um, computer chip that AI models use. But you need these data centers to house these servers so that they have the ability to do the computations. That's the limiting factor right now is compute. And um, and the AI revolution, because it's truly a revolution, is what is propping up the US economy right now. All of the GDP gain this year is attributable to AI. The stock market gains, the S&P gain is attributable to AI. So, because it has a ripple effect beyond just the Magnificent Seven. So, if I'm Google and I need to, um, if I'm Google and I need to have as much compute power as possible, I'm investing hundreds of billions of dollars into physical data centers. I'm buying NVIDIA chips. Well, these chips need other hardware in order to work. And so this is where the other chip manufacturers are at all-time highs. This is where hardware manufacturers are at all-time high. Well, you know what? I got to build these data centers. So you know what else is skyrocketing? Um, Caterpillar, the company Caterpillar, is its profit is out of the roof, um, because you need the equipment, the cables, and then the energy companies. There's not enough energy to power all of these data centers, um, and so AI is driving our economy. Now, with with that with that being with that being said, um, when we hit AGI, artificial general intelligence, um, Sandra says the economy is totally being propped up. Um, so with every great technology revolution, whether it was the industrial revolution, whether it was the internet revolution, um, industry and business transforms, because you've got to go from the old way we did it to the new way we did it. And there's usually a lot of capital expense in retooling manufacturing processes, and building new infrastructure. And so that creates bubbles, right? So the last technology bubble that we had was the internet bubble, which popped, at the beginning of 2000, um, in which the telecommunication companies saw that, wow, this internet thing is going to be hot. Everybody's going to want to connect to it, but they're not going to want to connect to it over dial-up. So we've got to build out the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure for um, to carry all this data. And they, built fiber networks, and but they overbuilt. Okay, and it took about 10 years for the adoption of the internet and for businesses to really use the internet and to put things in the cloud, right? Because in 1999, wasn't nobody talking about cloud services, right? So it took about 10 years to fully come into using the infrastructure that had been overbuilt. We don't have that problem now. Um, the problem is not a lack of adoption. The problem is over adoption, that we are adopting the technology at a rate that is faster than what we can build out the physical infrastructure. The demand is outstripping the supply. Um, Now, I have a degree in economics, with a focus on econometrics. So, got experience building forecast systems. And I listened to a bunch of other smart people. And I think we're going to come to a crossroads, because the thing that AI provides is intelligence. And that's what we're consuming. We're consuming intelligence. And these models, as each model comes out and gets smarter and smarter and smarter, the cost of that intelligence on a per unit basis keeps getting lower and lower and lower. And the um, the intelligence right now is represented in what they call tokens. So every time you do a prompt, it takes so many tokens for the model to compute and to provide an output. Okay, and so but the cost of tokens keeps coming down, keeps coming down dramatically. So the cost of intelligence keeps coming down. So there is a fear that the models will get so good and the cost of intelligence will become so cheap that the frontier models and the companies that are spending billions of dollars to put in this compute um, won't be able to charge enough in order to recoup their investment and to make an ongoing profit from it. Um, in capitalism, the I was told and taught that the definition of economics is the efficient allocation of scarce resources, with the key word being scarce. In order for a resource to have economic value, it has to be scarce. If it's not scarce, it doesn't have economic value. Um, that's one of the reasons why um, tap water is so inexpensive, because it's not scarce. Um, and they created water to become scarce by bottling it. And so the value of bottled water is way higher than tap water. But in a lot of instances, the tap water is as good as the bottled water, right? That's a marketing ploy. But um, scarcity, that is going to be a huge issue, if especially because of the open source models that become as good as the frontier models. And if through open source, you're able to get access to this intelligence at really no cost, how are these big AI companies going to continue to be able to charge and to create enough money to recoup their investments? Um, and AI is going makes it very easy for anyone to compete in the technology space. Um, and so it's knocking down barriers to entry. Competition drives down prices, right? And so there is a school of thought that says as AI becomes more intelligent and the tokens become cheaper, that we will have enter into a phase of deflation where the cost of everything will actually go down. Um, so there's so much uncertainty over the next couple of years. Um, and so that's why, here at the CPIN, one of the things that we recommend is making sure that you've got real assets included in your portfolio. Real estate, gold, equity in business. Yes, hard assets, um, assets that have true value, um, and um, have a diverse portfolio. Um, I still think over the next couple of years, the equity markets are still going to run up, because it's going to take us a couple of years before we can significantly build out this infrastructure of compute that AI needs. But here's the thing. In science, AI is um, solving all of science. It's discovering new physics. I totally believe that it's going to solve its own power issue, and it's going to develop a more efficient way for it to run itself. And so there um, is the real possibility of the overdevelopment of um, of these data centers, because I think once once AI becomes recursive, that's the word, recursive, and it starts improving itself without anybody telling it to, it'll just become more efficient. And it'll become efficient in a way that we can't even imagine. We already don't know fully how the AI models work, so we can't, fully predict um, their um, their evolution path. So, um, Chuck, great to see you, man. How you been?
Hey man, sorry I'm late. I was on several Zooms tonight, but doing fine, man.
No problem, no problem. So, Chuck runs an AI company and builds AI agents. And so, um, Chuck, you want to tell us a little bit about your company and what you guys are doing with AI agents?
Absolutely. Um, at Wugentiv, we basically have a business tool for our clients to be able to handle their entire business and automate some of their processes. Some of the agents that we have are conversation AI to be able to handle your email and text. And then we also have voice AI agents that act as a receptionist, and we can train based on your business as well as a CRM tool that manages all of that. And as you know, man, these agents are doing so many things. I've got one of the reasons why I didn't find your email and text was I have an agent that is handling my Gmail account and has basically put all of my emails in different folders, and I'm still trying to get used to it. But I'm pretty sure you were talking about the technology, and I'm hearing you talk about how AI is going to always self-improve. And so yeah, that's what we're doing on the business side, helping small business, medium-sized businesses automate processes that, help save time and especially in if you have a business, a lot of the problems that business people have is in the follow-up. And how do we rekindle old relationships through email and texting and then if all of them do respond, how do you respond? And so now we have conversational AI that can be trained on, how you might respond and how they should respond to set appointments for you or kick the ball further down the road, so to speak. So those are the exciting, parts of what we do.
So, talk a little bit because you've been in this space for a while. So, talk about how you've seen, agentic AI really develop, let's say since the beginning of this year compared to, last year.
Well, you just really have more choices. A lot of these AI platforms, whether it's Claude or Gemini, they're constantly improving. And I know even in the tools that we use, I'd like to say, Woo Media Works is which is my company. We developed our own AI platform right after ChatGPT. It was built on open AI as well. And at that point in time, we were a little further ahead of ChatGPT in terms of what they were doing on the agentic side, but not having the same kind of budget and the same kind of money. And then all of these platforms came out of nowhere. So we kind of morphed into just kind of being a tool to train. But get back to your question, first of the year, man, it would be hard to say all of the different tools because a lot of these agents are using the different platforms. And so ChatGPT has 5.2 and 5.1, and each time that it improves, especially with Claude, we get an opportunity to choose those particular models for our agents. And so you might choose Chat GPT Mini for a particular agent from a cost standpoint, and Chat GPT 5.2 is going to be more expensive for that agent. And so it just really depends on what you're building. It still comes down to prompting, writing good prompts and writing that perfect prompt to actually have the agent, do all of the things that you want it to do. And, a lot of times, I've got a tool that I'm experimenting now where the agents can actually communicate amongst themselves. So I have an agent that is kind of like my executive assistant. Then I've got a social media agent, and then I've got a blog agent, then I've got a legal agent, and I can tell my executive assistant to tell the social media agent to do this, that, or the other, and then coordinate it within my Gmail account. So that's a plus, and I think we'll get more and more into that where you have agents working together for a common cause, so that you don't bog one agent down with doing everything. So you're multiplexing, if you will, various agents doing different things, and then they're communicating also. So those are just some of the things. I'm not going to sit and play like I'm, the expert in every nuance of agents. I have my lane, and we're kind of sticking in that lane. But I'm sure there's, more things that others are doing much better than what we're doing.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on and definitely for sharing the services that your company provide and what your experience has been being knee deep um, in it and being in it for a while. So thank
Yeah,
you very
thanks for
much.
having me. Appreciate you. And thanks for your platform, man. This is, giving people exposure, and it's always good and refreshing to see you doing what you're doing. So thank you.
You're very welcome. So we are 15 minutes over. Don't want to keep everybody for this evening, but I do want to thank you for coming. I hope that you were able to get something out of it. Again, if you're a beginner, I would just start with something very easy like asking, open AI to, organize your email and to, send you notifications of important emails. Um, don't give it the ability to delete. And at the beginning, don't even give it the ability to reply. But just remember, it is going to require you to connect to these tools. Um, and you can always ask OpenAI, how do I use you as an agent to better manage my emails? And it'll walk you through the entire process. So have a great night and stay blessed. Until next time. Bye-bye.